You're listening to Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official podcast of Lingerie Fighting Championships. And now, here's your host, Michael Larkin.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Beauty, Strength, and Dominance, the official LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships podcast. My name is Mike Larkin, and joining me today, hell, you heard her at the beginning of this fine show in the intro, and she does an amazing job with ring announcing and just everything all in every endeavor. I got the one and only Miss Raine Cruz, ringside Raine, if you will, on the show. How are you, Raine?
I am doing good. Thank you for having me back. And thank you for allowing me to do that intro.
You're very welcome. First of all, it's an amazing intro, guys. I got to say, Raine has done an amazing intro for myself when I was on the Max Wrestling podcast and the guys over there on the wrestling side of things. So I had to do this for you with the LFC because you're a dear friend of mine and you do a lot of great work. And god dang, man, here's the funny part about this. I got to give a shout out to my boy Tommy Bell. Tommy's been on the show, does an amazing artistry work for LFC, did a piece of myself and the girls. Amazing artist. Follow Tommy Bell on Instagram. Tommy Bell is such a fan of not just of this show and the work with LFC, but let me tell you something, Raine Cruz. Loves your intro. Does a little imitation of it. Digs it. Every time you come up on the screen, every time he sees the show, he digs it. He loves what you're doing. So you got a fan now in Mr. Tommy Bell. Shout out to Tommy Bell.
Oh my God. Shout out to you. Can you record a video of that and send it to me? I'd love to see that.
Please, Tommy, if you could do a reaction, you doing the old imitationry, if you will. There's a new word for you. The little imitationry of one Raine Cruz. Tommy, send it to me and I'll send it to Raine. I got to see this for myself because it's great. But no, it's one of those things too where that's got to make you feel good. And I got to say, we're not just what we do as podcasters and in our endeavors. God dang, man, we're having an influence on people here.
Yeah, it's really cool to hear stories like that because to me, I'm doing something that I love to do. And I think, when people see someone who's having fun and just, doing something that they love, I think it kind of like, spreads out that, energy and, people start to think, okay, you know what, let me try that too. Or, you know what, let me actually do something that I love to do and, actually feel good about it.
Right. And I look at it from a stance too as well, because here you are. And we talked about this last time I had you on the show outside of LFC. Like when you're doing the ringside Raine thing and you're doing your thing for your independent shows, and you've done a lot of great work on that front, but then you get to the WWE front. And here's the funny part about it, and we've talked about this, the TikTok format, and you're just like, I don't have TikTok. And it's like, it's on TikTok. That's why it's funny because I mean, we're so accustomed, and this is just goes into the social media front, right? We're accustomed to Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hell, some of us had MySpace back in the day in 06 with Tom and all that good stuff.
I got the music playlist on MySpace.
Exactly. So, well, look at how far we've come from that. But no, and TikTok has become like the best way I can describe it. And for those who remember Vine, it's like an upgraded version of Vine with the little thing. Oh, we had Tout for God's sake. So it's become like a worldwide phenomenon for a lot of people on the social media platforms.
Yeah, TikTok is like a lot. Like I mean it in a good way. You can do a lot of things creatively on TikTok. A lot of businesses I think have grown thanks to TikTok. And I remember when I first signed up for a TikTok account, I just did not know what to do. It was overwhelming for me. And I had some of my wrestler friends teach me how to upload my video for the contest because it was just a lot. And even until now, when I upload my videos, I just do the usual, 2-box video of me announcing something and another video going, because I feel like if I start going through like the rabbit hole of like, what else can TikTok do? I think 24 hours would not be enough.
No, not at all. And I mean, it's funny because like when a lot of my people that I know, whether it be wrestling or just like in general, a lot of people are like, man, I don't want to do TikTok. It's just the dancing videos. And I'm like, yeah, there are dancing videos, but there's a lot of stuff in the TikTok universe, so to speak, where it's not just everybody dancing or doing challenges. It's not everybody dancing to Earth, Wind, and Fire's Let's Groove Tonight. There's other stuff that's incorporated. I mean, it's amazing to see stuff that's become like the craze and stuff like that. But you could do, what is it, the stitches, the duets and stuff. Like it's also a community where you can interact with a lot of people. So it brings people together in a sense, so to speak,
Yeah. I do mostly of the duets because I like, announcing in one box, and then you see like a wrestler coming out in another box. The other things that I do would be like, I actually post my videos from my wrestling events and share it on TikTok. And, I've seen other people kind of do, the whole dance thing just to kind of like spread some positivity out there. The world is not really the best place, I guess, sometimes. And, just being able to spread joy through that, I think it's a good thing.
Oh, green. Who doesn't love some Earth, Wind, and Fire? We
Right.
down, down, come on down. Like, who doesn't like that? But still, no. I think we need more of that because, unfortunately, with the way the world is today, there's a lot more negativity and just everybody has to just. So it's one of those things where we need more of that positivity in there. If that could bring people joy, it brings people joy,
Yeah, I agree. And, the best part is it's free.
Yes.
I guess it's free in a sense, as long as you have a Wi-Fi connection or data on your phone.
Oh my goodness gracious! Yes, you got to
get. It's everywhere anyway. You can get free Wi-Fi anywhere. So
right, that's
basically it's free, right?
Pretty much, but yeah, then you have to get rid of all that storage and stuff and take all that stuff off your phone. It could be a pain, but hey, it's free. Free is the best word. That's the key word, right? Now, Miss Raine Cruz, let me tell you something. For those who have not seen your SummerSlam performance, people go back and watch it because, god dang man, you did an amazing job calling SummerSlam. But here's the thing about it too, like that's one of the moments that you're gonna have forever, and that is right. Like, how does it make you feel? Like, not just because you won the competition, you won the contest, but people can go back to WWE Network. I'm talking about the Peacock, and then boom, here's the lovely Miss Raine Cruz calling some Baron Corbin, man.
Actually, a few days from now will be exactly a year since that day.
Oh snap! Okay.
And it's amazing to think about that because I mean, until now, I still can't believe it happened. I have my pictures in my office of that moment. And every time I see it, it's like, that really happened? It's something that you wanted so bad, right? You worked hard and you wanted so bad, and I didn't really think they would pick me. And it happened, right? And I got that opportunity, and I just remember being in that ring. And to me, it's something that, oh my God, I would love to do that again. I would love to be back in the ring one day, because the feeling inside that ring, it's not nerve-wracking for me. It was mostly, I just felt blessed, because to me, it's like not everyone can have that opportunity to be in the middle of that ring doing something that they love to do. And thinking about SummerSlam is thinking about, oh my God, I did not believe in miracles, but that to me was a miracle.
Hey, and I think what's great about it too is, as well, for those who have not seen Raine do her thing on the independent scene and the local promotions, which is still amazing. Like I said, what's important about it too is that gravitation pull, that you know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of people who see your work, you have the gravitation pull, man. You have an amazing voice, and it shows within your work. And I mean, that's where we've seen where you are now with ESPN, which, god dang, man, congratulations on that. I was so happy to see that post, doing your thing. Like, how did that whole thing come into fruition? Because you're doing your thing, ESPN Los Angeles, if you will. How did that whole thing come into fruition for you, Raine?
Yeah. So basically my background is I do work in television production. And so fast forward to me, getting that job interview at ESPN. I didn't think I would get it, but in my head, you know what? I'll try it out. I'll do the interviews and all that. And then next thing I know, they're offering me the job. So it's really cool to be a part of, a worldwide network, because working in the television production industry, that's something that I've always, dreamt of. I wanted to be in that, major league, I guess. So me making it to ESPN is, basically one of my proud achievements. It's one of those, oh God, okay, and your list, you're like, check, made it there.
Right. And I think, well, first of all, I got to say this, and my big thing, as I've always said, and I'll say this to you, life's an art form in a way, folks, and we're all applying our crafts, whatever that may be. I think whatever job that you have, whether it be TV production, broadcast, as long as you do it to the best of your abilities and you're providing for your family and yourself, is wonderful. Do what you love. But I look at it from a stance too as well, man. You're on ESPN, you're doing the television production side of things and interviews. Here's what's interesting. A lot of people don't even realize how much work goes into the TV production side of things to get that representation of your presentation, because it doesn't matter if you're ring announcing or wherever you're at the show, you're a big integral part of the show. And that's what makes the overall storytelling of what you do on the TV production side of things and the interviews. That all goes hand in hand in how much work that goes into it.
Yeah, and I usually tell people, I do the nerdy side of television production.
Yes.
Because I deal with network transmissions and signals and all that nerdy stuff. And, but at the end of the day, without that, we wouldn't be able to produce, our shows. And that's the thing about, I guess that's the magic of TV, wherein you see something, you watch something, and, it's beyond what you see on TV. Before it made it to TV, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. And I'm glad that I have the opportunity to, I guess on my day job, I do the TV production side, I'm behind the scenes. And on my night job, I guess, I'm doing the, in-person thing, or in front of people, wherein I do my ring announcing, when I do wrestling shows.
Well, first of all, as a fellow nerd, nerds rule the world. I get it. I get it. And I think that's a great way to put it as well. But a lot of people don't realize like that nerdy point of it about it is really, really integral and it's important,
Mm-hmm.
But the thing too about it as well is the just having the intelligence to do what you do, and you know what you're doing. And I think what goes into your story and your representation, what I love about it too is you got that confidence, you got the swag, you got that smile, you got that engaging smile about you, Miss Raine Cruz, to put that over the smile.
Thank you.
The truth is truth. I mean, to quote Vince Vaughn and "Be cool," you got the style that make the lady smile. You know what I'm saying? So hey, but it's one of those things too as well. Like talk about your presentation. God dang, man, you just did a promo talk about justice for Ronda Rousey there. For those who've not seen this promo, I mean, Raine, you've done amazing work as like the heel manager for Asuka thing that you've done back in the day. Check out Raine's stuff. But god dang, man, I was invested. I love that promo for Justice Ronda. That was good.
Oh my God, thank you. I've wanted to do a promo as Ronda Rousey's spokesperson, I guess. Yeah. And I wanted to, I think when I saw what happened to her at SummerSlam, I was like, man, this is like a perfect opportunity. And can I pull this off? And I just thought about it in my head, and I was like, okay, what's the angle? And then I was like, you know what? Yeah, she needs justice for Ronda Rousey. And then I love cutting promos. Like that to me is like my dream. I want to be a ring announcer, a personal ring announcer / manager for someone. And obviously I want to be like a heel manager. And like cutting that promo to me was like, you know what? I hope people would like this, because I felt good doing it. I felt good being that heel spokesperson for Ronda Rousey. So Ronda Rousey, watch my video. Maybe you'll like it.
Hit a girl up. You could be the advocate for Ronda Rousey. There you go. Just putting the splits and putting the seeds in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, why not? I mean, maybe, she'll need someone out there. I mean, she's good on her own. She's the baddest woman on the planet. But I know a lot of people have said that she needs like a Paul Heyman type of advocate right next to her, and I don't mind being that person.
Here's the thing too about it. And now, first of all, SummerSlam, for those who've not seen SummerSlam, I really enjoyed it. Like from Roman and Brock with the freaking like that whole story, just everything felt good. And obviously the old regime is out and we have the new regime with Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and Nick Khan, the whole nine. But god dang, man, there's a lot of people coming back. There's a lot of stars new that are being at the forefront here. Like with the Ronda Rousey side of things, like we got the Clash at the Castle coming up. You're doing the Ronda thing where she's being more of the heel now, and Liv Morgan, just escaped. And then there's Shayna in the mix. Like that has me intrigued because number one, Ronda and Shayna, the 4 MMA horsewomen, so to speak. You build on that relationship, and then here's Liv over there now being the champion, trying to prove that reign. Like that right there, I'm captivated by that story.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm curious as to how it would go down at Clash at the Castle, because, I remember there was a shot of like Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. I want to say it was at WrestleMania a few years back. I can't remember. It was from a pay-per-view. They were like ringside. And to me, that establishes, a tight friendship connection between the two. And then now fast forward to, this year, it's like, okay, now they're going to be against each other because they want the same gold. But then Liv Morgan has it. So how is that going to play out?
Right. And it's actually funny you bring that up because it all ties back. I think that was at a SummerSlam. I think that was the SummerSlam in 2014 where Stephanie and Brie Bella were going at it. Okay. No, and here's what's great about it. I'm glad you brought this up. Like you could build that in the angle. Like for those that remember the Mae Young Classic, when Shayna was in it, you had the 4 horsewomen and you had the MMA 4 horsewomen with Bayley, Sasha, and Becky and the whole nine. Like that was a story that which still should have been told. We should have got like an 8-woman tag out of that. That still has me a little bit sour, but it is what it is. But what you also look at that stance as well, that's the key integral part. Like the promos, like we talked about the promos leading up to that build, you need something like that, like to really influence the point. Like I love the fact like we're showcasing the importance of the Intercontinental Championship. We're showcasing the importance of the history of the United States Championship. We need more of that. And for those that who are new to the game and really have like not tuned into wrestling in a while, we need to get that exhilaration and excitement back so people who want to invest more and get back into watching also continue watching.
Yeah, I love that you said that because, sometimes are promos are a good way to kind of tell the story, right? Because I get it. You watch a wrestling match, that tells a story too. The match would tell a story, but the promos would be like the dialogue, the script. It's something that you hear, you listen, and then you feel the emotion of the wrestlers, the managers, whoever's talking. You feel the emotion, you feel the story more when you listen to someone cutting a promo. So hopefully now with Triple H, we would get meaningful promos now that he's part of creative or in charge of creative.
Right. And well, here's the thing. For those who have not seen Triple H on the Logan Paul Impulsive podcast, first of all, go out of your way to watch it because it's such great insight. And he even talks about like it's not always about the moves, which it's very important. And I mean, everything's subjective, right? In professional wrestling, some people want to watch wrestling just to watch the wrestling, but you also have that substance of, okay, point A, point B, point C. How do we get here? Why are they fighting? And then boom, here's the culmination. So there's a lot of key integral parts. And like we talk about, everything's subjective, but there's a lot of the ingredients that are made for a good recipe for a wrestling event and a wrestling match. And I think going into Clash at the Castle, which is awesome for the UK, because the UK get a nice little pay-per-view type, you know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things too as well, where you have Roman and Drew, and you have Karrion Kross lurking in the background. You have Liv and Shayna. You have Bayley, Dakota Kai, who's back, and Io Sky now against Bianca, Alexa, and Asuka. Like, I'll be honest right now, I'm so happy that Dakota Kai is back, and they're being in a pivotal role, and Bayley is hitting on all cylinders. Like, that 6-woman tag has me intrigued, and I'm invested.
Oh God, yeah, I am too. The only thing I don't like is them changing the name of Io Shirai, but yeah.
Okay, you bring up a good point here. I'm gonna say this. First off, I love the Io Shirai name. I think it's cool, and that's who she's been. That's her, right? But I get it because we're here in the main, and it's the Io Sky. Like if it was like something completely out of the ordinary, so to speak. But it's a tweak. You know what I'm saying? I get it. It's a tweak, but I'm like, I see where you're coming from. It's a little tweak that they put on it, right?
Yeah, because when I first heard it, I thought, wait, did they make a mistake? Because it's Shirai, not Sky.
Right?
They're kind of like close to each other, right? So I was like, wait, what? And then I kept listening to it. And I was like, wait a minute. I think they changed it to Sky. Oh, okay. That's her new name now. Okay.
And I mean, if you look at it, like say, like they win the women's tag titles because they're doing the tournament now, right? Say Io and Dakota win. Sky and Kai, it rhymes. It kind of goes. Yeah, it works. Yeah. Well, look at what they're doing on AEW. I mean, you got Thunderstorm with Thunder Rosa and Tony Storm. So I mean, it may be silly, but it works. I mean, for God's sake, we had the Rock and Sock Connection, which is one of the most legendary tag teams. So why not?
Why not?
But that's the thing too, and I think I really am looking forward to seeing it. And I'm going to say this: it's a great time to be a professional wrestling fan. It really is. And I look at people like Bad Bunny, Logan Paul, he's going to keep hitting on all cylinders. Like he's taken wrestling like a duck in water. You know what I'm saying? Like he's really been showing up and showing out. So I'm really curious to see how much more celebrity-wise we're going to be more filled with in the ring. But I got to say, from what we've shown with Bad Bunny and Logan Paul, oh, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really amazing. They actually raised the bar. I mean, I'm going to start with Bad Bunny. Like when I saw him at WrestleMania with Damon Priest, I was like, oh God, I think Damon Priest would carry the match. I don't think Bad Bunny's going to do anything. And then I saw him do his thing and I was like, wow, he put in the work. And I respect someone like that. Because usually when I see celebrities trying to be at WrestleMania, to me, it's like, okay, well, great. But, how about give the spot to somebody who's worked their lives, to be at WrestleMania, right? But you see someone like Bad Bunny and, putting in the work, putting in the work to produce a great show, entertain the fans, entertain the wrestling fans. I respect that. And when I saw Logan Paul at SummerSlam, fun fact, I actually saw Logan Paul last year's SummerSlam. He was actually in my seat. Well, I was ring announcing. But he didn't do anything at SummerSlam last year. He didn't have a match. But this year, I was actually impressed. I was impressed. The only thing I don't want to happen is for them to show up at like, for example, for Logan Paul, he signed to WWE and all that. I just don't want it to happen wherein he would only show up when it's close to the major pay-per-views. I kind of prefer to, hey, you know what? If you don't want to be there every week, fine. Just at least show up maybe every 2 weeks or something, Just don't steal the spotlight from someone who's showing up every single week, putting in the work to be in those major shows.
I get it. No, I get it. And that's the thing too. Like if you're just going to use them for like the big four, like a Survivor Series, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. Okay. Like I get it from like the main attractions that are supposed to be. It's a track, right? But there's people there every week. Like you can find a spot for like the people that you have. And because there's so much of it. And I mean, I look at it from a stance too as well. People were crapping. And when I say crapping, they were poo-pooing, if you will. Poo-pooing, if you will, on social media. Oh my God, Ciampa's with the Miz, and they built Tommaso Ciampa like back to we're gonna get no one will survive back. Like you see how he was portrayed going into the U.S. title bout with Lashley. Like this is the Tommaso Ciampa we know. This is the NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa, and you're invested with that, and he could still go. And first of all, people will say what they will about The Miz, but since 2006, hell, even in 2004 when he was in the $1 Million Tough Enough, the man has worked his butt off. And
yes.
That's the point of it. And you're supposed to hate him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like people always have that thing about The Miz. And I mean, you look at what MJF has done in AEW. He's another one that's going to stick out and stand out. But god dang, man, that's the point of it. You know what I'm saying? It's not a demotion if you put Tommaso Ciampa with The Miz, because even whether you like it or not, The Miz is a veteran and he can help a lot of people.
I agree on that. At first, it didn't make sense to me. And then now I'm like, okay, this makes sense. This makes sense why he has to be with The Miz right now. But yeah, hopefully, because like I think with the angle with Logan Paul, it's different when they're broadcasting that, okay, he has signed with WWE. So to me, there's this expectation of, okay, so does that mean I'll see him every week then? Versus Bad Bunny, who's just like, okay, he's going to be at WrestleMania, right? Because he's the celebrity guest. So maybe we'll see Logan Paul more.
We shall see, but no. And I mean, they've signed a lot of people. I know they're still doing the tryouts and the recruits. They signed that girl from Bellator, which is awesome because that girl is just like, yeah, I'm done with MMA. I want to do professional wrestling. See, when I was a kid, and everybody talks about it, because I'm going to say the world of MMA and professional wrestling, very similar because there's a lot of crossover, right? There's been a lot of crossover for years. But people mostly talk about, how Ronda Rousey and CM Punk and all these people have tried it and they've crossed over. Like, it's been a thing for years. And that's why I always, I hated the debate between MMA and pro wrestling. Because if you look at it, it's very similar. Mind you, people say, pro wrestling, predetermined, what have you. But, risks are taken. We all know the whole deal. And MMA is MMA. But one thing I will say is, we get to see really how both similar styles are and how people transition and transmogrify and really progress in both fields. And it's amazing just to see how that crossover is really evolutionized and revolutionized over the years.
I like the crossover because I've seen that, the world of MMA has a bunch of, different personalities, sometimes at ESPN, I work on those shows and I see them coming into our building and I see the personalities and I was like, what, this reminds me of pro wrestling. I like this personality. Okay. I see this person, like it's different from just fighting, they actually have something else about them. And I think that's the good kind of crossover wherein you see some sort of personality and then, you take them to WWE and then they become this larger than life character because they already have it in them.
Right.
So now when you bring them somewhere wherein they have to play this character, it's just a matter of extending that personality into something larger than life. And they also know how to fight. So that helps.
Yes, I like how you put that there. It's the extension of your character. It's the representation of your presentation. And I mean, look at MMA, for example, and excuse my language, but Conor McGregor, who the fuck is that? Like, how can you not like Conor McGregor? He's at the press conference. Who the fuck is that? Like, all right, like he's the ultimate heel, but it's like, god dang, that guy is special. You see him all over the commercials. He's foreign, he's an Irish cat, but god dang it, man, he's invested. You're laughing at him and you want to see more Conor McGregor, besides the fact that he can kick your ass, but you see that character of him. Like, that's just Conor McGregor being Conor McGregor.
Yeah, and I think that's what draws the fans into someone like him. You know, you see someone who's like, you know what? Subconsciously, you're probably like, man, I wish I could be that guy. I wish I could have that kind of character and I can tell someone like that. But, usually we're like, nah, I'm not going to tell someone like that. And then you see someone like him and you're like, yeah, that's my guy. You know what? Yeah. Why don't you say that?
Yeah. So it's like the Attitude Era, like the dichotomy, and with Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mr. McMahon. We all want to tell our bosses off. You know what I'm saying? We
No.
right? We've all had that boss where we just want to, get at, but it's the story, it's the dynamic, and it's the dichotomy, and we're seeing more of that in professional wrestling. And there's so much outlets out there for WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, what have you, and we could watch wrestling shows on YouTube. Like there's so much out there for professional wrestling. It's such an amazing time to be a fan. And I mean, going into what we're doing here with LFC Lingerie Fighting Championship, the slogan and the tagline is a little bit of MMA, a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of clothing. And I'm going to say this right now. Not only do we have some badass and strong women out there, and I include you in this because there's so many different layers into this, which we'll get into here, Miss Raine Cruz, but there's a lot of women that exude and accentuate that internal and external beauty. And god dang, man, that sex appeal that we see in women, because sexiness comes in many different layers, whether it be confidence, looking physically, mentally, what have you. Sexiness comes in so many different layers, as well as empowerment. So I think it's amazing to see these women with the confidence in their bodies and their confidence in their spirit and their minds, if you will, that really showcase everything that goes into lingerie fighting championships and sports in general.
Yeah. To me, one of the biggest things that, a person could have would be confidence. Because sometimes we feel self-conscious about, oh, I don't feel, and I'm guilty of this. I don't think I look good today and da 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 da. And then I realized, you know what? If I don't believe in myself, if I don't have that confidence, then who would believe in me? Because as soon as they see me, they'll know, yeah, she feels uncomfortable. So why would I listen to her if she feels uncomfortable? So I think that would be like one of the biggest traits of having like the good sex appeal. Because to me, it's like when you're just confident, you can just like hold the room down. You walk in and you're like, you have that presence.
Right. And I mean, I look at it from a day and age too, where like with women in wrestling, like we had the Sables, we had the Tori Wilsons, we had the Chinas, of course, and we had the Mollys, the Litas, the Trishas will be here all day. But god dang, man, from what we saw I mean, we come from a day and age where bikini contests and bra and panties were all the rage. And I mean, it led to what we see a lot of the girls doing now, because if the girls back then they didn't do that, we wouldn't have what we have now. So, I mean, the sex appeal has always been there. And what I always love about the lingerie fighting championship side of things, it's women being beautiful and it's also kicking ass at the same time. I mean, for those that remember the Lingerie Football League, for those who remember the LFL, it was badass women looking good, emphasis on the good, but also at that same time, they're kicking butt and taking names. It's still football at the end of the day, right? It's a tackling sport. So you have that variety mixed with football, like you have this mixed with wrestling and MMA. Like it's a nice little contrast for people. It brings a lot of uniqueness and variety to the product.
Yeah, I love the word uniqueness that you said, because sometimes you think, wait, how can those two go together? But then when you see it, you're like, wait, they do go together, right? And it's amazing to see, because, we're what, in 2022, and, I feel like a lot of things have evolved from, like you said earlier, the bra and panties match to now the, legit like women's wrestling. And why don't we mix the whole, women actually being beautiful and they can wrestle too? I think that's a good thing.
You have to. And I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are ignorant and just like, oh God, it's lingerie. How can I take this seriously? I'm like, okay. So yes, it's women in lingerie, but you also have to understand there's the fitness side of things, because a lot of these do bodybuilding, they've done wrestling, they've done what have you. There's different of all facets of life. Don't just judge because of their occupation. There's a lot of badass women looking sexy. So you have to eliminate what you're seeing with the lingerie side thing. Yes, it's there, but if you actually look at the presentation, it's like art form. And I'll make this example. Bob Ross. Yes, I'm going to Bob Ross from the Joy painting, right? The Jufro, the whole nine will be here. So Bob Ross, like if you watch the Joy painting, right, it's a 30-minute show. Everybody remembers it from back in the day. Bob Ross, he starts off with a little scooch, if you will. I'm going to use the word scooch. He's a little painting. He's the brush. He's like, oh yeah, I like that. And he's into the painting, right? Then by 30 minutes, you got a waterfall, you got mountains, you got birds. And so if people can look at something like a lingerie fighting championship or an LFL, what have you, right? Like Bob Ross looks at his paintings and he's so like happy and it's joyful at the end of those 30 minutes. Why can't we look at it like that? It's like, are you looking at it or are you really looking at it? It's the overall how you appeals to the eye,
Yeah, yeah. And as always, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? And sometimes it's just, I feel like in our world today, it's just hard to see the beauty of something because we always have those perceptions blinding us, right? Or I guess, or like us being judgmental, like blinding us, right? Um, but I feel like if we just like learn how to like open our eyes and see the storytelling, right, and see the art form, you'll appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll appreciate the beauty of it.
Right. And that's the thing too. And I also look at it from a stance too as well. Like you look at Invicta, which is killing it. And I'll use LFL as an example too.
Mm-hmm.
So LFL, for those that don't know, one of the alumni for LFC, Lingerie Fighting Championship, is a woman by the name of Lauren the Animal Focal, killing it. One of the prospects of LFC is Ty Emery, LFL, killing it. She's doing fighting as well. WWE, Danielle Monet, who would go on to be Summer Rae, the aforementioned Summer Rae with Fandango and Rusev and Ruru, for those that remember that back in the day. Like, she is former LFL All-Star going to WWE. Look at Invicta, Shayna Baszler, Jessamine Duke. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the 4 MMA horsewomen came from Invicta. So there's a lot of crossovers that people don't realize that are like there, and it's wonderful. Invicta is another great women's mixed martial arts promotion. So there's different varieties where we see crossovers, and we see people that you hardly really even recognize that they were there in the first place once you do that deep dive and research.
Yeah, isn't that amazing where people like start and then like because they have the talent to be there where they ended up, evolving eventually. Right? And then if we just stop them from growing because we keep judging them, that's going to be really sad, right?
Right. And that's the thing. First of all, for those who've never seen Summary in LFL, I have to find you these highlights, Raine. Excuse my language again. She sacked the shit out of people. Like, you want to see someone who's just dominant on the gridiron. My God, this woman killed. Skills that kills. Replace the S and put in the Z. Skills that kills. But no, it's one of those things too as well. Like duminance. You know what I'm saying? Beauty, strength, and dominance. If you
dominance, yeah. Yeah.
So you have to have like that, not that variety like we mentioned, but god dang, man, for those who've never seen it. So I don't know if you remember it. So LFL, it was like big in 2009, and it used to air on like MTV2, like on a Friday night or over like the weekends. Do you remember LFL being on TV or not?
Honestly, no. Around that time, I think, God, that was my second year in the States. And I think all I've watched was just wrestling.
Fair enough. And here's the thing. So when that aired, I'm going to take you back here because because we're older here. You know what I'm saying? It's all right. We're like, when we get better with time, Raine Cruz. It's how we roll. God dang it. So it's one of those things too. Like when that happened, I was probably Louise. I was like a senior in high school when the LFL was on MTV2. It's like, well, you're thinking about it now. It's like, geez Louise, that's 12 years ago already. Where's the time go? But it's one of those things too. Like you remember seeing what you see on TV and how influential, and I think you agree with me, how popular culture has come into professional wrestling. That crossover has been big since the 80s with Cyndi Lauper and everything backstage, the Rock and Wrestling connection. So it's great to see how pop culture has really like taken over professional wrestling and vice versa,
Oh God, yeah, that's the true definition of sports entertainment right there.
Absolutely. And I think what's great about it too is now you've seen a lot of the Lingerie Fighting Championship product. And I got to say, first of all, thanks for being a fan and a supporter, Miss Raine Cruz. And you've seen a lot of the content, like we have the LFC Exposed, we have the reality show, we have the events, we have a lot for people to offer, and also tells the good storytelling of why we're at these bouts. We get the reactions after the bouts. So it's a win-win for everybody going into the product.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because, again, like what we talked about with the beauty, strength, and dominance, you see that in a product, and then the art form of fighting, art form of telling a story, art form of sports entertainment.
Right. And I'm going to say this right now because this also ties into ring announcing here. So doing the booty camp shows now, which will see me. If for those who are in the Las Vegas area and you want to come down to see an LFC show, do it, because we just had some bang ass events at the Future Stars of Wrestling in Las Vegas. It's another great professional wrestling school, killing it on all fronts. So what I look at it from a stance too as well, you really realize how important ring announcing is. And for me, like I knew it, but when you're actually doing it, you're in the ring. And I remember the first time I did it last Halloween, I'm like, oh man, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the lights are on and it's hot. And I'm just sitting here like, oh man, like, and you also have to understand it's different. Like what we're doing here, it's natural. It's a podcast. We're talking, we're shooting the breeze, but then you're out in front of the people and it's like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? Like you have that moment. It's like, okay, we're really doing this. So I was a little nervous, but then once I just did the second time, it was more comfortable. And, you know, you're following your script, you're doing your thing. So it's one of those things too. It's the representation of your presentation. And for me, it's a dream come true because we have both the voices of what we do respectively. And I got to say, first and foremost, man, we also have that ability to tell stories. And if we could get people engaged and not having them sit on their hands and hear the proverbial crickets, then we're doing our job as only we can.
Yeah. That's the thing that I was scared about when I started ring announcing. I just wanted to pump the crowd. And to me, then I realized, you know what? It's not just about pumping the crowd. It's like telling the story as when you're announcing the wrestlers, because each wrestler is technically a character. And by you announcing them, it kind of justifies who the character is or what they're trying to portray. Because if you think about it, especially in the indies, sometimes it's their first independent show and they have no clue who this person is. And I feel like I would be that key to kind of let this person know, hey, the person walking out right now, yeah, that's kind of a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Or the person coming out right now, yeah, let's celebrate, let's go, clap your hands because this is the good guy, without me telling them, hey, this is the baby face, come on, clap your hands. It's just like how I portray my voice. And I think that's very important in ring announcing, because like you said earlier, it's like you're kind of like scared that, okay, I hope I don't hear any crickets here. But I feel like being in the middle and announcing the names and then people looking at you, I think that people respect the fact that you're in that ring and you are doing this for them.
Right.
I feel like no matter what, they would still do this or boo right away if they know the wrestler and if they hate the wrestler.
Well, yeah, and you have to emphasize as the proverbial white meat baby face, if you will, when they come out in the heels and stuff. So I'm sorry, that will always have hilarity in me, the whole white meat baby face thing. That all just whatever. But anyway, I digress. One of those things that I look at is like, for instance, we had a girl come out from Italy. Her name is Angelica Cole. Right at the last one, she made her debut. Like I'm going to emphasize Angelica, the Italian knockout Cole, like the Italian knockout. Look at that name right there. She's the Italian. She can knock you out. Italian knockout. Boom. So you emphasize the words and the characters and the nicknames and the presentation of these girls. So you want to make them feel like, oh, this person is important. This person is special. There's something about that person, right? And mind you, like I've had slipped ups, and I'll take a you fucked up chant because that's what happened the first time. It happens. You know what I'm saying? We all have our flubs, so to speak, and I'm sure you've had them as well.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's one of those things too as well. Like it's amazing just to see, and you realize just how important your role is and how important the whole entire thing is. And I think that's what's great when people go into it. Now, the indies thing, we'll talk about this too. Like you're doing your thing on the indies with the many different promotions, which you're killing it. I remember, so I grew up on Long Island, New York, right? So it's interesting because 15 minutes from where I lived was the NYWC Sportatorium. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with the New York Wrestling Connection, guys like Mike Mondo, guys like, oh my goodness gracious, like Matt Cardona and Brian Myers, Hawkins and Ryder, Tony Nese, Alex Reynolds and John Silver, a lot of people that you see on TV, Matt Stryker, came from the NYWC school. So I remember just 15 minutes away, and like they always had a great announcer and the overall presentation going into their shows. So it's just like seeing that locally and seeing like what I've seen in Vegas with the FSW arena and many different promotions. Like it's great just because you're vitalized and you're into what you're doing. Not only do you have badass talent, but you also have a badass ring announcer. And I'll say badass ring announcer right here. Hello, Raine Cruz. So I mean, you have to have the overall badassery, if you will. There's another term for it. It's the badassery, Raine Cruz. It's the badassery.
I love that term. Honestly, for me, I want to address that thing that you talk about someone chanting about you fucked up.
Yeah.
That happened to me at my first ring announcing event.
Really?
They didn't chant that, but there was this guy who basically said, "Turn on your microphone," because I was having issues with the microphone. And that was I literally volunteered that day to do that. So in my head, when somehow I had the microphone on and it's just not working. And I was in the middle of the ring and this guy with a megaphone was screaming, "Turn on your microphone." I was like, oh God, why? Why did I even volunteer to do this?
Okay.
And then the promoter goes up and he said, "Hey, be nice to her. She drove 4 hours to be here tonight." And he fixed the microphone. And then, I had this moment of like, okay, okay, now I'm nervous because I have this guy yelling at me. But then on the other hand, I was like, well, I could let him kind of, make me look like a fool here because I let him basically, ruin my show. So I felt like, you know what? I'm just gonna brush that off and then, I guess be a badass and just do my thing. And then that's what I did. Cause to me, it felt like, well, I don't see the guy. I don't know where he's coming from. Somehow he could see me. He could yell at me. But what I had in my head is I'm the one in the middle of the ring. Now, if I let someone, affect me, everyone's going to see me like, oh my God, she let that guy, with a megaphone, affect her. I don't think people are going to think that way anyway. But to me, that's like, how I feel. It's like I'm in the middle of the ring. I can just basically make sure I'm all composed after someone yelled at me. Or people would see me as, oh God, no. But yeah, that was a great learning experience. And I think every single time you get into the ring, something's going to happen. And that's just the nature of a live show. Something is going to happen. And it's just up to us as to how we can command the crowd still, right? After, something happens. But yeah, the whole badassery. I think as a ring announcer, you need that mostly because, like I said, you have to command the crowd. You're kind of like the conductor, right? Mm-hmm. You're kind of like telling them, again, with the whole story of, hey, this is the bad guy, this is the good guy, whatever. Or if you kind of feel like the energy is going down, you kind of want to be that person to kind of like bring them up. Because, some shows start way too late than they're supposed to. And the crowd is just like, okay. And then you have to like pump them up, right when the show starts. And, they have to see you as that badass figure, because if not, they're not going to follow you. They're not going to follow what you're saying. They're not going to care about what you're saying. So you have to have that attitude of like, you know what? I'm saying something here. You need to listen to me, even though I'm not really saying that.
Well, it's funny. Like as we're talking about this, like I felt like Ricky Bobby when I did that with the microphone. I don't know what to do with my hands with that, because it's one of those things where like I had the same problem and issue with the microphone. It's like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? And with the house mic, you don't want to be too loud, but it's just like, when you're feeling it, right? Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things too as well with the guy. Like I didn't even know where he was, so I just like brushed it off too, and I just kept doing my thing, because you just hear him. You don't see the actual person, you just hear a voice. So that's also something that's very key and very pivotal going into ring announcing. And I think what you just said there absolutely is 100%. And I mean, we've seen people who have bombed even on WWE with ring announcing, but then they get better. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember first watching Lillian Garcia, who, by the way, is another one who represents beauty, strength, and dominance. Amazing woman, right? Lillian Garcia, when she first started in like 99, 2000, she was a little, I'll use the term wonky, but she got better within time. Like she had amazing pipes when she sang the national anthem. Boy, I was invested. Like she could sing worth woof. But sometimes she was a little wonky and it showed. But then as she progressed and moved on with her career, one of the most amazing announcers ever.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that's the key, like people progressing. And I think that's the beauty of being in the professional wrestling industry, is that you can be whoever you want to be. Mm-hmm. You can try whatever character you want to try. I mean, even as ring announcers, you can try whatever style you want to try, because there's really no rule as, okay, this is how you should sound, this is how you pronounce every single name, blah 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 blah. No, it's like trial and error. And if it doesn't work, try something else. If it doesn't work, try something else. And if you find something that works, okay, do that, and then find something else that works again. And to me, I admire people who try, because it's hard to try, number one. Number two, it's harder to try in front of people watching you. Because if you do something wrong, if you kind of like mess up, you're like, okay, now everyone saw that I messed up. Oh no. Mm-hmm. But then again, you tried. And I think that's the beauty of it. You know that you're not perfect and your goal is to progress.
Beautifully said. And one of the things I'll say right now to anyone listening to the show as well, it's progression and succession, no regression, Miss Raine Cruz. There's a little term for progression and succession. Right? That's the thing too. You have to look at it like that. And I mean, I look at it from a stance too as well. Like when you're doing, I'm going to say this right now, and a lot of people, this is not just ring announcing, but a lot of people don't realize how hard professional wrestling is with the travel,
Mhm.
the grind, and everything that goes into it. And it applies to the independent wrestling scene as well because shows X amount on the weekends, what have you. There's a lot of stuff and a lot of the grind that goes into it. And I mean, it takes a toll on you, but at the end of the day, it's something that's really worth it. It's the sacrifice, if you will. I mean, the weekend had his theme song of this year's WrestleMania. I don't want to sacrifice. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into it, Miss Raine Cruz.
It's a lot of sacrifice. I mean, I don't know how the guys do it because I'm ring announcing. I don't train. I don't get my body beat up, but I get tired.
Yeah.
I get tired with the travel. I get tired with just like doing the show, because it's not just like being there. It's being there and being yourself like 10 times more because you have to entertain people, right? Your energy level is like way up there. So you can't just like basically show up. You have to show up and perform. So to me, it's like, I don't know how they do it, but I admire them for doing it because I can't picture myself, being beat up. And then, some of the guys and girls, they do another show the next day. They do 3 shows back to back to back. And it's like, how are you doing this? Because I'm tired after one show.
It's like me with the LFC girls. Like we did 3 straight shots in Sturgis last year. There were 3 shows back to back to back at
Oh
Sturgis.
God.
Which I'm just like, I don't know how these girls did it. And I'm speaking to the girls both on camera here and back and on behind the scenes. I'm just like, how the hell do y'all do that? I'm like, they were sore. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you're going to be sore. It's a 3 straight shot. There was one previous to that, like LFC 28 and 29. That was around 2019. And it was like 4th of July weekend, right? So 2 shots of 2 nights in a row of fighting and then amplify it to 3 last year. And it's like, God dang, man. Like, I don't know how they do it, but we got some badass ladies out there.
I agree. Because again, like I said earlier, it's one thing to just show up, and to perform is like a different level.
Mm-hmm. And also, I'm going to add this when we were talking about amplifying the character. This is outside of wrestling, but if you look at video games, like I used to love playing the NBA games when I was a kid, right? So you had your NBA 2Ks, and one of the games I always had was the NBA Ballers and NBA Ballers Phenom. So it's like the MC, so to speak. He's like, yeah, we got Starberry against Earl the Pearl Monroe, and he would like amplify it. It was like that, when you know what I'm saying? Yo, we at Tim Duncan's mansion, and blah, blah. And like MC Supernatural was the guy, and there was another guy, but like it kind of comparing it to that, like how amplified they were announcing basketball, and it has like that very street ball type of feel to it. Like listening to that in a video game, it's like, all right, I'm ready to friggin', as they put it, dunk in the pumpkin, if you will, in so many different ways of slam dunking and layup. Like I'm invested. I want to play me some NBA ballers. So if you can have that level and amplify it, you're gold.
Oh yeah, I agree. And see, now I think you like when you actually did that voice, I think you're ready to be in a video game too.
I'm ready to go, man. If y'all need a voiceover artist or video games, I'll talk about the pumpkin, you know what I'm saying, and do whatever it is, and talk about from Trey as opposed to friggin' from 3-point land, from Trey, if you will. I got you. 2006 baby. But yeah, no, those are that's some of the stuff you could actually take what you've learned from video games, playing them and just hearing it, telling the story. You can take it from everywhere. We have an influence from everywhere. And also as well, when we talk about just everything in general, I'm going to say this as right now, people, once more, life is an art form. We're all applying our crafts. Apply your craft to the best of your ability. And you, my friend, are continuing to apply the best of your abilities in any endeavor. And I'm going to say this right now before we hop on out of here. I truly wish you nothing but continued success and happiness, man. You're killing it. I can't wait to see what the future holds for you, Ms. Raine Cruz.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm at this stage where it's like I'm exploring what else is out there aside from ring announcing. We talked about voiceover earlier. I've started doing some voiceover training, and I got my reel done. So I'm excited to share that with everyone soon. I feel like I finally realized that I can actually use my voice to, as a form of art for me. Like I actually love doing voiceovers, and I think that's why I love ring announcing, because I can just, I can announce and kind of, add my color to it, add some flavor to it, and, tell a story through that. And I think it kind of it kind of took me to the world of voiceovers, and hopefully at some point, someone will find me valuable as a manager too, and I could finally reach that dream of being a ring announcer and a manager at the same time.
Friggin' just she'll ring announce and she'll be your advocate. God dang it, she'll be your advocate, if you will. Perfect. Yeah. Personally, I hope that heel manager thing does come to fruition, because we need a lot of badass, heel ring announcers. I mean, from the days of Terry Runnels as Alexandra York in the WCW, from Miss Hancock, Stacy Keibler, from what we saw back in the day with Sherry Martel and Medusa, if you will. We need some of that female figures, huh?
Yeah, I really want to see that strong female manager who could be right next to someone who's also strong and powerful wrestler, and someone like a female Paul Heyman. I don't want to say female Paul Heyman because it's like I don't want to just like recreate like Paul Heyman as a female, but it's kind of like that attitude where you see Paul Heyman, it's like, you know what? Okay, whoever he's with, that wrestler is going to be a star. Like I want that strong female figure, to be right next to someone that, needs a manager right now. I personally want to be that person.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Raine Cruz, and I am.
I just love playing a heel manager role. Like, I don't know why, but I think it's kind of one of those, I'm not really mean in person. Whenever I'm angry, I usually don't say anything because I'd rather not say something mean to someone. So I usually just kind of like, you know what? Let it slide. It's okay. And then, obviously I have, in my head, oh man, I could have said this, I could have said that, but you know what? Whatever, I'm not going to be that person. And I think it kind of like comes out as a heel manager character.
All right, so you don't want to be like the MJF talk about the video game nerds and the virgins and all that stuff. Like it's friggin' the 80s when they're in like the Memphis territory and they're just healing the people, and then the people come down, they're like, come on, you want some, I'll fight you on, take it on. You don't want that type of, that old school territory type of feel to it.
No, I just want to be someone who's more of psychological, right? It's kind of like, oh my God, I cannot believe you said that, but you know what? That's actually true. I like to be a reflection of what people want to say to someone, but they can't. So when they hear it, they're like, oh man, screw you. But then again, at the back of their minds, well, I could have said that to someone.
Well, look at Ronda Rousey. Like, for God's sake, she's supposed to do the tag match. She just storms down to the ring, and the guy friggin' yells at her. She goes, shut up, your mom failed you. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, where did this come from? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just looking at it, I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're talking back more of the fans and all that. I think she told someone to kiss her ass the other night. But I'm like, my God, we're actually letting that in for interaction back. And I'm like, okay, that's the way to do it. Like, Ronda, just that strong, dominant woman, that face, that stone cold face, if you will. Mm-hmm. I love that. Like, that added more to it. Everybody's like, oh, like it resonated very much so.
Yeah. And see, I think it's more effective for her to be a heel because I think she loves playing that character. She loves being bad. And I think that's really going to help her. I think even with cutting promos, I think because when she was trying to cut promos as a babyface, it's okay. I think it's too dry. She's trying to get the message out there, but I think I can't connect with her. Like, I know you're trying to be a good character, the babyface and all that, but for some reason, I just couldn't connect with her. But as a heel, oh my God, it's like you said, the facial reaction, the few words that she would say, it's like, okay, I get it. Oh God, I'm scared now because I don't want you to say that to me.
It's like old school CM Punk on the indies when he was like Ring of Honor and stuff like that. So there's an infamous match that he had. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's become like legend in independent wrestling lore and just in wrestling lore, if you will. So he's being a heel. Some kid is like chanting, "You suck" at him because obviously.
Huh?
Yep. And then he goes out, he peeks through the ropes and he just looks at the kid and he goes, "I hope your parents die." And I'm like, ooh. Again, like, it's something that you've never heard. Like, mind you, this is back in like the mid to 2000s when it was a different time. But I'm like, you would never think to like go to the kid and just go, I hope your parents die. And then he just said it like so seriously, we're back in the ring and they wrestled. I'm just like, my God, like it comes from a different time period, but there's something so effective that I could really go to that person. And I'm just like, geez Louise, like it's the amplified confidential confrontational level, you know?
Yeah. And the thing is, sometimes when you don't expect someone to say something like that,
Yep.
or when you don't expect that attitude from someone, when they say it or when they do something that you're not expecting them to do, you're like, oh my God, what did I do something wrong? Like, what did I do? Like, and I think that's the beauty of pro wrestling, is that sometimes, we all know it's a storyline, right? People say it's fake, sure. But to me, I love how sometimes when the wrestlers react that way, you're like, you get like so affected by it, because it's like, he said that to me. But then you think about it, it's like, well, is that really CM Punk, the character, saying that to me? Or is that really CM Punk, the real CM Punk, the man behind CM Punk, saying that to me?
Right.
Right? It's kind of like that psychological, thing that the wrestlers play on, the fans.
I equate it to the MJF feud when he's just a cheap knockoff Miz, and then you see Miz, and then you see MJF's friggin' face. It's like, you mother, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna say this right now. Well, he's not wrong. You know what I'm saying? We all think that. We've all said that. I'm like, well, finally we're bringing this into light.
Yeah, and you see someone like MJF, right? And I felt bad when, people called him about, being like, the Miz.
Yeah.
I felt bad for him because I think he's really good.
He is.
But that's like, I think, something that he did not want to hear. But I think, honestly, it is a compliment for him, because the Miz has achieved so much from being someone who's, basically the most hated, right? Because people thought, oh, he's not going to achieve anything, whatever, but he's proven everyone wrong. And I think that's why people kind of hate him, because they didn't think he would achieve something. He proved them wrong, and then now it's like, okay, I proved you guys wrong, go ahead, hate on me. And so I think that's mostly a compliment to MJF. So I hope he didn't take that as an insult.
Agree. It was great. And then you look at the follow-up with Edge and The Miz. Edge is like, you got other people on other television shows talking about you. Like, again, you tie that into what's popular. Oh, it just makes for good storytelling. And I'm going to say this, man, the storytelling that we got to tell today was the story of Raine Cruz. We got to tell the story of a lot of beauty, strength, and dominance. And we got to tell the story of a lot of beautiful women in lingerie fighting championship and just in general. And I include you in those sentiments of one of the empowering figures and roles. And today for women, Miss Raine Cruz. So final question I got to say, and I love asking this, because a lot of people love this message, what we're talking about today. And I've asked this to a lot of my guests. Beauty, strength, and dominance. You look at that, you break it down. You look at the 3 words right there. Mm-hmm. If you feel, what does beauty, strength, and dominance mean to Raine Cruz?
Oh God, to me, you want me to break it down like individually, or
you can break it down? Go ahead, break it down for us.
Okay. Beauty to me is feeling beautiful with or without makeup on, feeling beautiful whatever you're wearing, feeling beautiful inside and out, and being beautiful inside and out. Because I've seen it, I've seen people who are like beautiful and all that, but the heart isn't really beautiful, and I don't like that. And to me, being beautiful is having that beautiful heart written. It doesn't matter where you came from, it doesn't matter who you are, but you treat people fairly. Strength to me is having the resiliency to just fight through the battles of life. We all have our crosses to bear, right? And each one of us is going through something, and I think having that strength to carry on no matter what you're going through, I think that is something important for us to have, because we only have one life, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Dominance to me is, I think, being dominant in your own art form. You don't have to compare yourself to others. You have to be dominant of your own life. You have to be dominant in a way wherein you accomplish something. Okay, you have to be your own competitor. You have to be, you have to pass that point again and then reach, a different goal or reach higher something. I don't want us to think of dominance as, you try to like be above other people, you try to like, be better than other people. I don't like thinking of it that way. I'd like to think of it as you are your number one competitor and you have to be dominant, dominant than the person you are yesterday. If that makes sense. I hope it does.
That was eloquently said and beautifully said, Mr. Cruz. I think a lot of people can take from that. And I will say this, what a lot of people can take today is please check out Raine Cruz and please check out all the work that she's done. I think a lot of people are going to take away because we got a lot of different people I've had on this show, from the LFC cast and crew, from fans, from people like yourself, Miss Raine Cruz. A lot of people enjoyed the message of this show, which I humbly appreciate. So I'm going to say this right now. Links will be in the description for our last interview on Max Wrestling Podcast for what we did and your Max Wrestling intro. Links will be in the description for Tommy Bell art for y'all to check out. And Tommy, please send your reaction.
Your video.
Doing the intro for this show, and I'll send it to Miss Raine Cruz. And I will say this is where I step back, Miss Raine Cruz. The floor is yours. Chivalry, ladies first. It's not just a Queen Latifah song. It's actually true, and it's very validified, if you will. Please promote the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the tickety talk, the heart TikTok. You don't stop. Color me bad. I want to sex you up, baby. Let us know if we can follow you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube at Ringside Raine, and that's Raine with an E.
See,
all the same, so you won't, it won't be hard. Just Raine with an E.
I'm going to say this right now. Ashanti had a song back in the day called Rain on Me. Is that what we're talking about there, man? You also got a little Ashanti vibes about you with your Rain on Me. Add the E, huh? Styling and profiling there, Miss Raine Cruz, huh?
Oh, I love that. I'm glad you didn't say blame it on the rain, because usually that's what people say when they see me, because they want to blame things on me.
Well,
but
don't put the blame on you, just blame it on the rain. A little Milli Vanilli action, yes. Well, I was going to go the other route. I was going to go the Missy Elliott route. I can't stand the rain. That's my win. Oh, my goodness gracious. So, folks, check this out. Now, folks, season 5 is coming up very soon for the LFC network on Roku, where you can hear this face and look at this face, and you can hear that voice and many other great things coming into fruition on the LFC network on Roku in season 5. You can check it out on lfcfights.com in the VIP section. And for those who want to follow LFC, it's LFC_fights on the Twitter machine. It's fights_LFC on the Instagram. It's LFC Fights on the tickety talk. And I know I'm not talking about Blue's Clues. I'm talking about TikTok, the app, folks. And check it out on the old Roku. I got my TV here. Just type in LFC Network on Roku. You can see this show. You can see LFC Exposed, the reality show. You can watch Get Wet with Audrey Mongoose Monique and Terry Feisty Fist London. They're interviewing. It's in a hot tub. It's sex appeal, and it's the real deal. Check out Get Wet. You got Miles Long coming on with Mods and Bods. We got a lot of variety coming for you, folks, with the LFC Lingerie Fighting Championships product. And Miss Raine Cruz, I hope to see you at a future event for LFC, maybe ring announce in the future. I don't know, man. Come on down.
I hope so. I can't wait to meet you in person. We've had 2 podcasts already?
Right. True. Yes, to quote Kofi Kingston, a little right. True. Yes. Love to meet you. Hope to see you at an LFC event in Vegas in the future, folks. And if you're in the Vegas area, we're supposed to have an event coming in October. Come on down in October. Say what's up to the LFC cast and crew. And, just be on the lookout for more updates on LFC events. So links will be in the description. Check out Raine Cruz. And as I always say to close this out, beauty, strength, and dominance, the 3 key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And Ringside Raine Cruz, I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Fight, gonna kick some